Turn the TV off. Turn the TV off. Turn the TV off. What's up, everybody?
My name is Anthony Irvin.
You beat yourself?
Yeah, CB myself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Jim Green.
Don't even need a hit of traffic light.
Okay, good.
Welcome to
One Set.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of the One Set Podcast. My name is Anthony Irvin. I'm here with my buddy Jim Green. And for those of y'all who are here for the first time, welcome. All our OGs, thanks for tuning in again. Make sure you guys are following us all at the handle of One Set Pod on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and make sure you're subscribing right here on YouTube for our weekly uploads on Fridays at 9 a.m. Jim, tell us where everybody can find us in and out around our episodes.
That would be the One Set Fam Facebook group. Got a lot of engagement going on over there. Definitely had it during our Wrestlemania season, and just moving right along after the fact. So that is the One Set Fam Facebook group. Find us on Facebook. It is titled One Set Fam. Anth, how you doing, brother? How's the new work schedule going?
Oh, man. 3 days of working 12-hour shifts. I can't tell you the last time I worked a Saturday, not alone 12 hours on a Saturday. It wasn't too bad this week. Everything went smoothly. A lot of our processes went, right in and out. I got out pretty much the time that I was supposed to, but just learning everybody's names, learning how the days go, it was just like, you still felt like the small fish in a big bowl and everything. So kind of just learning your role, and because supposedly like the shift that I'm on, most of the people there have like 2 or 3 years experience and have been there for 2 or 3 years already. So they've already, been in their set mode of how the day should go, and everybody's like, okay, let's get our things going so we can get out of here. So I feel like when a new person comes in, it's like you are obviously trying to fit in and make sure that you're not the one that's like slowing everything up. But everybody's been pretty nice on there. So it makes you feel connected and wanted to be in like the group and talking with everybody. So for a first week, everything went pretty good. So happy to finally be on shift and working again. So it's a nice little thing to be doing. I think this week they're probably gonna start putting me inside the lab. So I was kind of like heart beating a little bit because I haven't been in like the lab in forever. So maybe next week I'll let you know how that goes if I actually do.
Yeah, so you're coming up this week. You're working 4 days instead of 3 yet.
Yeah, so this week is my 4-day work week. So I'll be working 11 hours. So we'll get out 1 hour early. So
Woo!
yeah, woo! I mean, the 12 hours went by pretty quickly. I was expecting sometimes for it to really like slow down and drag, but there were a couple hours where like we didn't have a lot of work to do. So it's like, okay, sit down and kind of chill out. But most of the time it's like, once you get to like 12, 1 o'clock, you're like, okay, you're halfway through the day, and then, you're ready for lunch. Then you get back and do your couple things. And, so the day went pretty quick, and I was pretty much done a lot of my work by like 6:30. So then I was just at my desk, and as long as I didn't have to like make any corrections on certain batch records that we do, I'll explain that in something else. Don't have to need to take up time for that. But just making sure that you're not having any specific like spelling errors or something that you did sign you didn't want to sign for, or if you missed the signature, certain things like that. So you want to make sure it's all corrected before they scan and upload it to our big server. So yeah, it was a good week all in all.
That reminds me, the one episode of WWE LFG last week, they had up the scorecard for the legends between Taker, Booker T, Mickey James, and Bubba Ray. They put up the score. Do you know what I'm talking about? They put up the
I saw the
scorecard,
scorecard.
and it was totally blank. And I was like, wait a second. Cheyenne's like, like we both wanted to see what the score actually was at that moment. Like, we're not super keeping track of that part of it right now.
Right.
But the fact that it was left blank, I was like, somebody's getting fired.
Right. Like
that made
somebody
it on
didn't do their job. Like
that made it on TV, and that's like, I mean, it's the episode survived
Whoopsie!
without it. A big old whoopsie, right? Man, I gotta say, I do love doing this podcast weekday morning time. It's just so great.
It's been great.
These
like we both
these
said,
last two episodes.
It's been really good, and the fact that we both wanted to say like, oh, we'll just do our podcast in the morning. Got our coffee, put a little bit of creamer, and put some protein in here. So
Protein.
I had a new low weigh-in this morning, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Hey. Yeah, I've been floating at like between these two numbers that I haven't been at in
And that's where I've
years.
been at. Like I've been staggering between like 2 or 3 numbers, and then especially this week being on shift, I didn't really eat too much because you don't have a lot of time to snack or anything. It's like most of the mornings I'm usually fasting, so I'll have like coffee or maybe a small little bit of just to get me through the morning. But definitely, if I'm going to be in the lab, I'm going to be going almost a couple hours into the afternoon without eating. So
By the time lunch hits, you're gonna be like, I'm ready for a meal now. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm contributing like the break in my stagnant like numbers to shift this week because I lost like 2 pounds this week. So I'm like, that's probably a shift. So whether I can continue to do that or if it's like you have that like, oh yeah, you lost weight and then you go and have your regular day and then you weigh yourself the next day, oh, I gained like 3 pounds because you haven't been eating. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, when you get to Sundays and you're like, I've been fasting the last not fasting, but like
Right.
your morning fast is like taking you to lunchtime. I think when you have your 4-day work weeks like this week, you're going to start feeling like, okay, I'm definitely not eating as much as I normally do. And
Yeah.
then it's going to be a matter of like, okay, I like where my weight loss is going. I think you'll find control in yourself on Sundays because that'll be probably the bigger one. Or do you find yourself now being off? Like last week, you were off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday during the day. Did you like just kind of grab something when you were kind of hungry? You're like, yeah, I'll just
Pretty
eat
much.
something. Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, looking at the refrigerator, do I need to eat? Yeah, I'm gonna eat.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat.
Yeah, so it's just having little things, but then also being mindful of like, okay, don't have a whole fucking sleeve of cookies or something, but just like have a little bite here, little things there. So still trying to be mindful, but yeah, just instead of knowing that like when I'm shift, I can't really go and grab something real quick. So I'm like, okay, cool. I have everything by my arm's reach when I'm at home, but also keeping myself, busy so that I don't have to worry about eating every 5 seconds either. But this week so far is today is obviously my first day, alone in the house since Sunday everybody was here. So now it's like, okay, kind of just, today was more like a relaxing day. I did a lot of housework last week. So I'm like, all right, I think I can kind of chill out today and do a little bit of, R&R. So it's been nice. So I'm thinking about also maybe if not today, maybe tomorrow, getting that gym membership. So
There you go.
try to maybe get into the gym tomorrow because then Wednesday I'll be back at work. So if I do go to the gym, light workout.
Yeah. Just to be able to put in your mind like, okay, I went, right? Like that's
Right.
not a bad idea.
If I'm in
at all.
hallway on Wednesday, then I'll be doing a lot of like walking and going back and forth. When I'm in warehouse, I'm usually sitting down doing paperwork. And if I have to go somewhere, it's literally like open the door to the room I was in and literally go 2 feet to the other place that I have to go and do some other paperwork or get supplies to bring it into one of the labs. So it's definitely not as much moving around and running around. Where hallway, you're, waiting for, stuff to come through a pass through to bring into the lab, or waiting to see if one of the labs need something else. And then, it's like a lot of this and there, and make sure you're this. It's a lot of moving around, and, communicating with all the labs and all the other people that are in and around the lab. So warehouse,
Keeps those days busy, at least, like you
it
said,
does.
especially those 11 and 12-hour shifts, man. Like
It does.
it's
And
a lot in a day, but you getting those 3 and 4 days off is like, I can't
it
imagine.
I can understand obviously now why they work that way, because some of the processes are about 5, 6, 7 hours sometimes. So the extra time spent is just getting all everything written down and scanned and uploaded. And then so then your 3 or 4 days off are meant to just, obviously you're not burned out, because I can't imagine doing Monday through Friday, that type of schedule. That would be overkill. And then only having 2 days off, that would be really an overkill of a job.
Yeah, freaking restaurant managers. I mean,
Hmm.
they're the ones that work those like 5, 6 days, like 12-hour shifts.
Yeah. So
Chefs, same thing. Like, don't know how they do it. Working 80-hour weeks
it's
and,
crazy.
and getting
I
like
can't imagine.
one day off ain't it, man. That's taking off years of your life, dude. Like,
Nah, man. I mean, they always say about like how we were younger, saying like, oh, I want to, own my own business or be my own entrepreneur and stuff, like, which is great. I have no experience being either, but you think that, oh, I can run my own business, I can just sit down all day. Like, no, when you run your own business, or if you're an entrepreneur, you're working that much harder, because you're being your own boss, so you have to do all the work for that. So it's like you're not just being a lazy mf'er, you're just constantly working. So it isn't what you think it probably is, as when you're thinking as a kid, to be like, oh, okay, well, that's it. Instead of working for somebody, I'll just work for myself. That's where the, like, I mean, but then when you actually are living that life, you're like, oh, okay, I just can't sit down all day. Have you ever wanted to start your podcast but didn't know where to start? The One Set Bros are here to talk to you about Zencaster. Zencaster is the ultimate based podcasting solution, and now the all-in-one podcasting platform, making podcasting easy. They've sure made it easy for us to be able to record our podcast and our episodes every week for you guys. Once you've set up your account, you're simply one click away from recording a high-quality podcast with studio quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. My personal favorite feature is their multi-layered backups, which ensure our recordings are always in the highest quality, even during unstable web connections. And if you thought you needed multiple tools and services for your podcast, Zencaster's all-in-one podcasting platform allows you to create your podcast all in one place and distribute to Spotify, Apple, and other major destinations. Go to Zencaster.com/pricing and use our code OneSetPod, and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencaster paid plan. I want you to have the same easy experience as we do with all our podcasting and content needs. It's time to share your story.
we did want to talk about, we got a WWE PLE coming up this weekend already, 3 weeks after WrestleMania, and it's like,
I feel
all
like
right,
we haven't even
digested WrestleMania yet.
yeah. It just feels like WrestleMania was still like last week. So
Yeah.
having a pay-per-view 3 weeks later, it's like, okay, now it's like, you know, getting everything back in, and we have obviously a smaller card this time, so we're not digesting like 8 to 10, 12 matches. So yeah, we wanted to just, for our WWE fans and listeners that watch with us, we wanted to kind of just do a quick brief overview of the Backlash card for you this week. This list does not show the possible Jey Uso and Logan Paul match, but we're expecting it to probably be on. But if not, I don't think it's gonna be a problem. They could probably just wait for the next pay-per-view for that, because they really haven't built any of that yet. So they could just be slow rolling that.
So there is a Saturday night main event coming up May 24th.
There you go. They could be waiting for that.
They could be.
Which if they do, I feel Logan Paul will not win.
Yeah, because most of the Saturday Night Main Event cards are like glorified house shows. Like you're not going to get major.
You're not going to get any major belt changes or anything.
Yeah. However, I think that the Jey Uso Logan Paul dynamic is very interesting in that most people hate Logan Paul. Okay, I know.
Yeah,
you and I are in the fan club of like we appreciate how good he is for the minimal training that he's had, and it's
100%.
like he has not gone into the ring and had a dud match one time. Like
now,
I will say his match versus AJ is probably my least favorite of all, which is just crazy to think. Like I love the both of them, and I think that that's like the AJ WrestleMania curse where he just hasn't had a stellar Mania match like ever.
I just think AJ is at this point in his career where he's like, if I have a good match, cool. If not, it's fine. I'm on my way out. I've done everything, pretty much in my career, so I'm not trying to not necessarily trying to impress anybody at this point. It's just I'm just trying to, if not, put some people over or just have a decent match with some people or just get in, and wrestle the opponents that I wanted to wrestle before I get out of here. And whether we have a stellar Hall of Fame type of match or if it's just like not a memorable one, but it's one to add to my credits, cool.
Yeah, I think he's probably thinking I want one more good feud, like with someone that I know I'm going to have great chemistry working with kind of thing. Otherwise, he's just going to be putting over younger talent to try to elevate them in the future, right?
Man, exactly.
Jey Uso was like heavily disliked by the internet wrestling community. So you pair him with someone that most of the IWC can't stand in Logan Paul, and that helps get Jey Uso
somewhat over.
Somewhat right. You also, it's interesting that you have all these top players on the Raw card. Like you have Seth Rollins, CM Punk, even Braun Breaker is in that. Like, and they aren't paying attention to the fact that the show's top title is on Jey Uso, an easy target that anyone could just be like, yeah, no, we're going to take that from you.
Yeah.
So this match that we think is probably going to happen, I don't feel like they're going to take it off of Jey Uso right away. But again, we have both really felt like this isn't going to be a long title reign at all.
I think how we said before, I would think if he's holding it past SummerSlam, I'll be amazed.
Yeah, I think that belt winds up coming off of him before SummerSlam, just to give us a higher marquee world heavyweight title match for SummerSlam, right?
That too. Like I said, unless Jay pulls off some type of big thing where he gains like that much more popular and people start to turn and be like, oh, okay, he's actually, pretty impressive with the belt. Because again, we only had a small, sample of him having a belt with the IC belt. And, I still to this day think he should have kept that instead of losing it to Braun Breaker. Understandably so why they did it, but I don't think he needed to drop it to go back with the bloodline for the short amount of time he was there.
Right.
But, I think it's just more the fact that we knew Jey Uso was going to win at Mania, but it's like he's still being very blah.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what's it going to take or when's it going to be where it's like he's showing the people he deserves to have this instead of just, I knew I was giving it because I was so over and it was because of you guys that got me the belt.
Yeah. There's got to be a point in time where he goes from this tier to like this echelon of on the like people are saying, oh yeah, he's definitely up here. I'm like, no, he's not.
No.
He really needs to get to that point. Otherwise, it's kind of like, oh yeah, they just kind of threw Jey Uso a consolation prize. Yeah, you get the win the belt, and it's like, how many people on the roster haven't had that belt that deserve it? Sami Zayn, right?
I mean, for him saying in his name, main event Jey Uso. He's not much of a he's
And
not acting like a main eventer. So
he's, I mean, he's someone on Raw that they are clearly giving him time every week, but to me, he's not even like one of the most interesting parts
not
of Monday
close.
Night Raw. Yeah, it's tough, man.
Yeah.
I do think that there's a chance that they give it to Logan Paul, but it's like, okay, then who's going to take it off Logan Paul?
Yeah.
It will be some sort of fit. I just feel like this ultimately is going to Seth Rollins is getting that belt back, and he carries it to WrestleMania. And I think Sami Zayn is going to win the Rumble next year, especially the Rumbles in Saudi Arabia.
I
So
heard something earlier today when just scrolling through my phone, and this got me thinking about the whole Seth Rollins, group and how John Cena, and maybe we can talk about it more. I'll just say it, but we'll talk about it more when we get to the John Cena match. But I have a feeling they might, because Seth Rollins' group is more about like, this is the future of wrestling and this is what's best for business. Where John Cena right now, his thing is ruining wrestling and, kind of
he's trying to kill the future. Yeah,
kill the future of it. So I have a feeling we might eventually get a John Cena and Seth Rollins match later down, and maybe Seth Rollins is the one that takes it off Cena at the end of the year, rolling into next year's Mania.
I like it.
So maybe we can talk more about that once we get to the match. But I was thinking about that and how those two like aspects haven't even touched each other yet, but they could come and clash later down, and we could be getting another belt on Seth Rollins going into next year's Mania. And if that's so, I'm down.
Yeah, I'm down. People are saying Cody Rhodes has got to be the one to take it back off of Cena. I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, if you bring Cody back and do the heel change, like the heel turn,
Mm-hmm.
you could get a lot more out of Cody in that aspect where he doesn't need to be involved in the WWE Championship. Like, I'm good with Cody Rhodes going and elevating the World Heavyweight title scene. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's the one to take it off Jey Uso, but
Right.
I don't know. I do really like the idea of Seth Rollins taking the WWE title off of Cena at some point in Cena's run until December. He's gonna be a face again, so it's just a matter of how they get him there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I do like that. I do like Seth Rollins being the one to take it off him. It's just, oh, Cena's a heel now and Rollins is a heel, so you don't think the heel versus heel thing at the
Yeah.
moment.
So yeah, I don't. If anything, I don't see that happening for a little while. But
Yeah.
you could get little sparks of like, oh, they could be coming into contact with each other eventually down the line. But yeah, just keep them separated. Let Seth do his thing. Let John have his matches. And if those stars align down the road, let it happen.
Yeah, and just like Jey Uso needing to get to here, uh, we would need to get Sami Zayn back to here too.
Mm-hmm.
If we wanted to be behind him taking the belt off Rollins, I wouldn't be surprised if they had CM Punk win the Rumble and then you get Seth Rollins versus CM Punk 1-on-1 for the WWE title as the main event of WrestleMania 42. Like, I would be
Yeah.
more than fine with that.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Because I mean, for the sake that CM Punk had his main event this past year, they obviously now have a more sense to be like, okay, he deserves to be in that spot, so he could be getting more credible main events now.
Yep.
So I can definitely see the CM Punk and Rollins Mania match that we wanted, and that's for next year.
Yeah, because I mean they are each other's biggest rivals at this point. So
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
got you got to have that match pay off at Mania at some point, right?
Agree.
And they could really go back to back years at Mania. That's how big that the feud is. I mean, there wasn't really a point in any of their feuding that I was like, all right, I'm over this. I mean, I'm like, I've gotten to the point. I think when they had the cage match at Madison Square Garden on Raw, I was like, yeah, this is just to bring Roman Reigns in to kind of set up their triple threat for Mania. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like that match was building their specific feud. It helped work its way into the triple threat, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we'll see. We're obviously getting way ahead of ourselves here, so let's dial it back to the Backlash card. Yeah.
Yeah, let's just scroll through these matches here. So we have the Fatal 4-Way for the United States Championship. I know but we both were saying we're looking forward to this. Jacob Fatu, LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Drew McIntyre. This is going to be a battle. You know, Fatu, with the way that he's going right now, obviously I'm sure he's still the favor. LA Knight being the one that had just lost it at Mania, I would still probably give him the chance to get it back, but I think it would be pointless in this and again, I'm not saying anything about Damian Priest because I don't even want him in that belt.
You just want him to walk
I
straight.
just want him to walk straight and get the fuck out of that ring.
Oh
I mean,
my God.
Drew McIntyre, you know, he'd be another one. I would say it would come down to those three. Probably Jacob Fatu or Drew McIntyre. But with the way they've been building Fatu, it's an easy to say Fatu probably just retains out of some way that's solo and somebody else comes back and helps Fatu win the match or something.
Yeah, I just look at LA Knight like they took the belt off of him because they're trying to position him into the upper mid card. They're trying to push him more towards the upper echelon titles. Like I could see him with the world heavyweight title at some point this coming year.
I would definitely, if like how we were saying earlier, who do you try to feud with Jey Uso? LA Knight would be another one because but you would probably, it would be crazy. It would be a little crazy, but because you have Jey Uso with him being so over, and then you have LA Knight with his thing going really over. So you'd have two big baby faces facing off of each other. So one of them is going to have to play the heel, but I would think LA would probably be a better heel than Jey Uso.
Yeah,
or if you wanted to start Jey Uso's heel persona, you can do it that way too. But again, getting a little too far out of it. But yeah,
I definitely see a world where Logan Paul takes that world heavyweight title off of Jey Uso, and then we get LA Knight versus Logan Paul for that
too.
title, because they obviously had stellar matches with that United States Championship on the line.
Agree.
Wouldn't be mad if they went with the world heavyweight title with that situation there.
Yeah. If we don't get LA Knight like winning the undisputed, then yeah, definitely the world heavyweight. I would be happy because LA Knight definitely needs like the big belt on him before he's done because he's up there too. So yeah, I would definitely want LA to get at least the one of those belts around him before he locks it up too.
Yeah, I think because it definitely seems like they have the top guys. Now, granted, your guys to hold the WWE title in the last 5 years have been Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, and now John Cena. So, like, clearly they have the top of the food chain on that main title, right? If you want the world heavyweight title to feel like an equal to the WWE title, you have to have your top shelf guys holding that world heavyweight title. Otherwise, the world heavyweight title just feels like Intercontinental Championship number 2, right? So, and Jey Uso's holding that title right now, and he like kind of speaks for itself. You know, I do think Drew McIntyre is in the upper mid card tier, so him in this match is just helping elevate Jacob Fatu, in my opinion. I think Damian Priest is very much United States Championship tier for me right now. He could have it. There's no way that Fatu is losing this one unless I just feel like the person to take that title off of him would be Solo Sikoa just to make him relevant.
Yeah.
And that can come at a later time.
Yeah.
Dude, this Pat McAfee Gunther match, I like kind of can't believe that they rushed it onto the card, but it's got to be a squash match, right? Like you got to have Gunther just absolutely railroading over Pat McAfee, or Pat gets like some early advantage, gets a couple moves in, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" Like Michael Cole's like, "Come on, Pat! Come on, Pat!
Come on, Pat! Do it, Pat!" And Leah, unless this is gonna write Pat off for a little bit, but again, kayfabe, he's probably still going to do his show.
Yeah.
But it's 2025, people. We break kayfabe, then we try to stay in kayfabe. What the fuck,
Yeah. um, I do see the possibility of Gunther just absolutely destroying him, and then we get Goldberg in the mix because he's having his last match in 2025. I don't know if they're setting that match up for like one of these summer PLEs that isn't SummerSlam. So I feel like the Goldberg thing could hold off until maybe Gunther just destroys Pat McAfee, and the rest and security come in and have to like drag Gunther to the back, and then Gunther takes out, who else does everybody love? That's like, yeah, we could probably write them off for a bit. Maybe he takes out Otis.
Yeah, because he's in that run of like just railing through a lot of people because he's just like on the hinge of his character.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think this can go either way, but I think the better way would obviously, because I mean, Pat is another one that, he's not on Logan Paul's level, but he does know what he's doing in the ring. We were impressed by Pat as well with how he can wrestle. But yeah, I think the better way, like you were saying, would be that Gunther just obliterates Pat McAfee, writes him off for a little bit. He's off Raw, off commentating for, a month or so. I mean, but then that's like, do you get a rematch? Do you get him, starting something again later down the line?
Yeah, it's kind of like, how do you get Pat McAfee back to commentating with Gunther and him being like, oh yeah, this guy kicked my ass, and that's
right.
And like that's just it. So there's got to be payoff for Pat to get his comeuppance at some point, right?
Yeah.
So we'll see how that pans out.
So whether that leads into like a later Money in the Bank or SummerSlam rematch or something, but I don't see anything else other than Gunther, probably being no more than a 5-10 minute match. If not, like you said, being a squash match.
I see it going 6-7 minutes tops. I don't see it going to 8 to 10. I would be surprised if they gave this match more than 8 minutes time on the card. Granted,
right.
it is a smaller card, so if we want to say somewhere in the 8 to 12 minutes, part of those 4 extra minutes would probably be the aftermath of him just destroying Pat McAfee.
True. Yeah.
Let's transition into the Women's Intercontinental Championship.
Chat.
Women's Intercontinental Championship match. Chat.
Chat.
That will be Lyra Valkyria defending against Becky Lynch. Yeah, I'm 50-50 on this just because I could see Becky getting a quick win.
Same.
If you want to elevate Lyra Valkyria, you give her the win over Becky with the help of Bayley running out.
Yeah, I think Bayley definitely gets involved in this somehow. Whether
Becky name dropping her on Raw the way that she did.
So it's definitely going to come whether, Becky causes the match and Valkyria retains, then we get some type of triple threat down the line with Becky, Bayley, and Valkyria for SummerSlam. But also I can see Becky winning this too, and then Valkyria chasing with Bayley. I feel better about Becky coming back real quick and winning another championship than I do had Charlotte won at Mania, because I think Becky is a lot more likable. And, so I wouldn't be mad if Becky wins. It's kind of like one of those matches like, hey, if Valkyria retains or Becky wins, I'm cool with.
Yeah, I'm really fine with however this one pans out. I'm not like, oh God, I'm going to be upset. Like that fatal 4-way US title match, if Damian Preist wins, you and I are going to be like not having any parts of that.
I'm not coming back next week if that happens.
If I had to pick one, I think Becky Lynch will get the win here and just have Lyra chase.
Yeah.
Right. Like she She did win the inaugural IC title. I thought that they were going to give that one to Dakota Kai, which, by the way, they just had a slew of releases. I did say
Yeah.
around I don't know if that was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was like, they're coming up on releases soon. They do every year after Mania. They start letting people go. Bunch of NXT stars that they just didn't see a future with because they weren't working hard outside the ring. Apparently,
Yeah.
I think the biggest takeaway here, other than Dakota Kai for the women, Braun Strowman, man.
Yeah, Braun Strowman again. And I feel bad for him, but it's like it's kind of hard to work with a big monstrous guy and making him a babyface where he could have easily been that badass heel just running through people every week. But then again, how many times do you do that with bigger guys, and then where do you go with it? Because I feel they could have definitely kept the feud with Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu, and that would have been good with Braun. And then you had Braun being the monstrous guy, Fatu being the face, Braun Strowman being the heel, working that until the breaks go off with that. But I guess they obviously had Jacob Fatu running more this way. They wanted probably Braun to go that way, and then they were like, "Well, we have nothing for you." But yeah, I was very surprised with Dakota Kai being released as well. Shayna Baszler, I'm surprised she was there that long. But I always think it's crazy how like Dakota Kai, Braun Strowman, and like these big name people, get released, but then you have Nazawa and like Otis still running around doing nothing and just being jobbers every week. Like where, again, it's entertainment, and that's probably why they continue to just be on there, because they know it's just good for entertainment. But like I feel you definitely could have used people that you can elevate instead of having those, I mean, back in like the about 5-10 years ago, we had more of the comedic segments. I feel they've gotten away with a lot of those, but we still have those small little segments. Like you probably didn't have to have that in the show, but I think you obviously, just because of the business, you need a little bit of a break with those. So it's understandable, but it always sucks to see people go when they had potential.
Yeah, I did see Braun Strowman was apparently let go because his salary was really high. So
Mm,
I don't know if that was like upon his return, like they were like, "Oh, let's give him a bunch of money," and then they were like, "All right, this guy's getting injured. He's a big dude, so he's more prone to it."
yes.
So they were like, "Let's release him. We're
And
not
I think
really
that was
doing
the same
much
thing
with
with
him."
Shotzi too. I mean, that's why her matches were so short, because she was so injury prone. So like,
Mhm.
okay, let's only make your matches this long, because we go any further, you're more prone to be getting injured. Then we got to pay you because you're up off the TV all the time. So
Yeah, yeah. I, for one, didn't really get into Shotzi. Like
now,
I think she had better NXT days
uh
than
huh.
she did main roster days.
Yeah, I just don't think she really converted too much with the main roster. But she had a really good run in NXT, but just couldn't like find her stride on the main roster, which
Yeah,
which happens to a lot of NXT people, that they're so over in NXT, but then really don't connect with the main roster.
yeah. I mean, uh, DIY Johnny and
Yeah.
Tomasa, like they were pivotal in their NXT days, and
Uh huh.
right now on the main roster, it's like okay, they have a couple title runs, but they're not over in that tag division like that.
Yeah. I think the latest TLC match really elevated all those guys in that
All three
match,
of
and
them.
know they can definitely work. So I think they all needed that match to let people know, hey, I mean, there is still good tag team wrestling in the main roster, and we need to have more matches like that.
Yeah,
So
they're
it was a hell of a match.
they usually do a like a superstar shakeup or a draft at this point. Apparently, they're running into issues where they don't know where to position that because of how late Mania ran, and then they have this Backlash PLE coming up, and then they have Saturday Night Main Event at the end of May. So they're kind of cornered into like, okay, how do we throw this in because we don't have a long stretch between PLEs at this point.
Hmm.
So like they're gonna do it. At this point, it's just like, why don't you just start pulling people from both shows and like who cares? Like who really cares? You know?
Right.
They kind of cross over with people anyway, whenever they want. Um, so I don't know. We'll see. Okay. John Cena defending the WWE title against Randy Orton in Randy Orton's hometown of St. Louis.
This is definitely an eras match, if we want to say eras.
Yeah.
But knowing that, I mean, I know I didn't really see a lot of the early John Cena and Randy Orton days. But yeah, this is going to be one of those matches. Hopefully, they both put on, a stellar match, which I doubt they won't. But to simply say, I don't think Cena's losing, obviously. Knowing that he's still on this Ruin Wrestling thing, I don't think he's winning clean. I think it's going to be some type of dirty finish because that's what he wants everybody. And that's why with the Mania finish, I feel I'm okay with it, where a lot of people are like, well, that was just the worst match. That's what Cena wants you to do, wants you to think, and that's
Yep.
why he's quote unquote Ruin Wrestling.
Yep.
He's not doing the clean finish with the AA and doing all this stuff because that's what he wants everybody to think he's going to do. He's doing it the way he wants, and whether it's clean or just something to at least keep himself going, that's what he's going to do. He wants you to hate him, so he's going to continue going down that road. So I think he's just going to win the match by I don't think it's going to be Travis Scott again. Please don't let it be.
Right. I mean, people are saying, because Randy Orton did slap the ref and get himself disqualified against John Cena that one time, so everyone's like, oh, maybe John Cena just returns a favor to do that callback kind of thing.
Yeah.
I could see that. I feel like if they did that, I don't think Randy Orton would be cool with that happening in his hometown, so I don't see them doing that.
Yeah.
But if they don't have a stellar match, I do feel like we'll get a part 2 of this at the next PLE, which I think is Money in the Bank next month, right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't hate it, but also there's like a list of people that everybody wants to face John Cena in his final tour, so it's kind of like,
yeah, I wouldn't mind like this match not being a one-off. I mean, if we got like a rematch, but still being the same outcome. But yeah, it'd be cool to see another match, but depending on how this match goes.
Yeah, the only reason I could see that is if they're like, okay, John Cena won 17. What if we take the belt off of him and then let him get to 18, right? Like you could have Randy Orton win this title and then John Cena win it back at Money in the Bank. Like, I don't know. Will be interesting to see who is in those Money in the Bank matches. I definitely have to lean into John Cena winning this match. If Randy wins, it's like, okay, does Cody Rhodes get involved? And then it's like, we have Cody Rhodes versus John Cena in a feud without the WWE title, or do we have Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton and John Cena in a triple threat kind of thing, which can eventually segue us into Randy Orton, Cody Rhodes feud? Something like that.
I mean, I could probably even see if we're talking money, if we're slowly bringing up the Money in the Bank topic, it could probably have Cody, winning the Money in the Bank title. And, if we're thinking Cody wins it off of Cena, could be just a cash in, but, that'd be kind of meh.
It'd be weak sauce, yeah.
It would be a little more weak for Cody to win via Money in the Bank rather than winning via like an actual match. But yeah, I can see him still being in the Money in the Bank match. But yeah,
I wouldn't mind him in the Money in the Bank match just to elevate that match by having Cody Rhodes in it, and everyone be like, "Oh, Cody's got to be the one to win it."
This is where he's getting it. This is his return to get back into the title. Yeah.
I like Money in the Bank going on a young and up and coming talent like Braun Breaker, right? I would say Jacob Fatu, but I don't see it really with him with the U.S. title.
Right. You could get Solo being in the Money in the Bank. He wins it, cashes in on, but it's always usually not really cashed in on the U.S. title. like those type. It's usually for the top tier titles, but it's open game for anybody.
I think the only time that happened was Austin Theory's Money in the Bank cash in that failed.
Yeah,
on the U.S. title, and it was like, wow, they really just wasted Money in the Bank. Waste.
Big waste. So, I mean, yeah, I guess we could touch on that as Money in the Bank gets closer.
For sure.
But, yeah, so at the end of the day, I think Cena wins via some type of,
cheap heel finish, like cheap to win. Yeah.
It's going to be similar to Mania because, he's not going to be winning via AA and the you can't see me thing. He's going to just, have some type of crappy finish.
Yeah.
To keep the heat.
100%. Anth, we had some other things that we wanted to get into, but I think we're going to save that for next week, right?
Yeah, man. It's going to be a cool little segment. So if you guys are here, tune in next week for that. And again, thank you all for being here. My name is Anthony Irvin. Again, I'm here with my buddy Jim Green. We are the One Set Podcast. Make sure you guys are tuning in and following, subscribing at One Set Pod on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, subscribing right here on YouTube. Hit us up on our Gmail. Subscribe to our Patreon, hit us up on our merch store. All the links are in our description. And once again, shout out to all our One Set Fam Facebook group. Jim, explain a little bit more about the Facebook group.
Facebook group is One Set Fam. It is our way to connect with our One Set Fam, literally, and our community. Yeah, I mean, mostly wrestling stuff, because we started it in the WrestleMania season. But it's not limited to just Wrestle Talk. Anthony and I, we had planned no longer than 10 minutes for this episode to talk wrestling. And of course, it consumed the entire episode.
Yeah.
But that's all right. The other thing we wanted to get into is going to take a little bit of time. I have a meeting coming up in a half hour, so I didn't want to rush that situation just for the sake of it. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. And love you, brother. This has been another episode of One Set.
Love you too, brother. See y'all next week.
See you next week.